Hello everyone, welcome to another video where I take a quiz and grade the quiz. And this one is Lord of the Rings trivia questions only real fans can answer from a channel called Pack a Punch. They don't have a lot of subscribers, but this came up in they have a lot of views here at least. And this was put up 2 years ago. It's not as recent as the previous one. I don't know if I've taken or at least viewed this one before. I don't remember it. So let's see. We do have a lot of movie pictures here, which is understandable, but let's take the quiz and see what it's all about. Oh no.
You want to play a quiz?
I appreciate the animation, but why was it bleeped? Very strange.
Question 1.
Okay, here we go.
Where did Sauron forge the One Ring?
Oh, so I don't know if they're going to give options after this. He forged it in a place called Samath Naur, which translates to the Cracks of Doom, and it's inside of a mountain which has a lot of different names. It is called Amon Amarth, which means Mount Doom, and it's also called Rodren, which means Red Mountain. I'm not waiting 10 seconds.
The answer is...
Yeah. Mount Doom is a little less specific than what I was going for. If I wanted to be very specific, I would say Samath Naur, as I did. Mount Doom is one of the translations of the various names that it has.
Question 2. When the Fellowship arrive at the Mines of Moria, what does the inscription on the wall say to do in order to enter?
Speak, friend, and enter, which Gandalf misinterpreted as meaning that there was a password or a spell that would open the door. He tried various different things. Merry gave him the idea that led to maybe it's not speak friend, but say friend, because the word pedo means speak. It also means say. And he said the Elvish word for friend was melon, and sort of was very amused by, the fact that he was the smartest guy present, but overthought it to a major degree. Of course, his laughter and chortling was cut short when the Watcher in the water attacked, but,
The answer is... Speak, friend.
Pedo melon.
Question 3. What are the horse lords of Rohan known as?
So they're called Roherim, which is their language, the Rohanese language. Some fans refer to the language as Rohirric, which is incorrect. That's not a word that Tolkien ever used. It's Rohanese, and it means horse lords. Rohan also just basically means horse country, which is actually what Gondor calls the land. What they call it is Riddermark, or just the Mark. So, yeah. But they're called the Rohirrim. There was a movie about them not very long ago. I just watched it last night. I like that it's not multiple
The answer
choice.
is the Rohirrim. Question 4. Who was the last of the ruling stewards of Gondor?
So technically, the last of the ruling stewards was Faramir. Faramir became ruling steward upon the death of his father, Denethor II. That happened automatically. There need not be a ceremony or anything. As soon as Denethor passed, Faramir was the steward, as he was the only surviving son of the previous ruling steward. Now, he was not a ruling steward for very long. He surrendered the office and handed the crown. Well, he didn't hand the crown, but he symbolically handed the crown to Aragorn, saying that he would be the king. He actually, the crown was handed to Gandalf, and Gandalf put the crown on Aragorn's head. But anyway, I have a sneaking suspicion that the answer displayed here is going to be Denethor II, when the actual answer should be Faramir. Now, Faramir was not a ruling steward for most of his life. He was just the steward. He was also the Prince of Ithilien. However, for a very brief period, he was the last ruling steward. Let's see.
The answer is Denethor
I didn't pronounce it correctly, but that's okay because they don't pronounce it correctly in the movie. It's Denethor. Yeah, I had a sneaking suspicion. Like I said, Faramir was ruling Steward for like a day or two. It was a very brief period of time. He was unconscious during most of that, actually. So, yeah, you could say that maybe he'd never established himself as a ruler, but he was the one that had the authority to name Aragorn as king. So he was the ruling steward. He was the final ruling steward.
Question 5.
I had a feeling that was going to be like that.
Who is it that finally kills the Witch King of Angmar?
So it's Éowyn was the one that finally kills the Witch King of Angmar. There was a prophecy about him when he fought in the Wars of the North. He had a kingdom which was called Angmar, hence how he got his name. And he lost to an alliance of men and elves and even some hobbits. And the men who had come there from Gondor wanted to pursue him when he fled. And one of the elves, which is a very, very important elf with the name Glorfindel, who was cut out of The Lord of the Rings, his parts were replaced by various others, most especially Arwen. He said, "Do not pursue him. Far off is his hour of doom, and not by the hand of man." So basically he was saying that somebody's going to eventually kill this guy, and it's not going to be a man. And that could be interpreted in many different ways. Merry had a very important part to play here because he sort of snuck up behind the Witch King and stabbed him with a barrow blade, also known as a dagger of Westerness. These are daggers made by men from Numenor that were made specifically to fight the undead. And so when he stabbed him in the leg, he could have killed him with this dagger, but since he hit him in the leg, that didn't kill him, but it did undo the spell that made him basically invincible. And Éowyn made the final strike. She stabbed him in the face. I couldn't see his face, but you could see his eyes, so she kind of knew where his face was. There was a crown and there was eyes floating there, and she stabbed him, and he was utterly destroyed. And Merry and Éowyn were both horribly injured by the ordeal. They almost died. Thankfully, they were saved. Yeah, sort of a dual thing between Merry and Éowyn, but Éowyn was the one that did the killing blow.
The answer is Éowyn.
They remembered the accent on the E.
Question 6.
Very good.
What is the name of the bridge that Gandalf fell from when fighting the Balrog?
So it was called the Bridge of Kazadum, which you know if you read the book because that was the name of the chapter, the Bridge of Kazadum, which basically Kazadum was the name of Moria long ago. It means the mansion of the dwarves or the dwelling place of the dwarves. Moria means black pit. It was what the elves called it. It was sort of a joke. The dwarves were, they were fine with that name. They chanted it even, especially in The Hobbit. But anyway, Gandalf didn't exactly fall from it. He was dragged down. He dropped the Balrog into the pit by breaking the bridge, and then as the Balrog fell, it used its whip to ensnare Gandalf, and as he fell, he wasn't hanging on by the edge for a long time. It was very like a second, and it was as he fell, he did that famous line, "Fly, you fools," and then he was gone, and they thought he had died. Of course, he did die, but it was like 11 days later, and then he was resurrected. This is the Bridge of Kazadum. It's going to be a shorter video, which is good because I have to meet with Sid.
The Bridge of Kazadum.
The robot voice is creepy.
Question 7. During their quest, Frodo and Sam were tricked by Gollum into entering whose lair?
So it was Shelob's lair. They were tricked in the sense that they went there willingly. They just didn't know that there was a giant spider that was the daughter of a horrible eldritch abomination from, beyond the stars. It was Shelob, which basically just means Lady Spider. She, as in she over there, her. And Lob is an Old English sort of word that means spider. So it just means Lady Spider. Gollum took them through the pass of Cirith Ungol, which literally translates to the path of the spider. But unfortunately, I guess Bilbo should have taught Frodo Elvish even better than that. He didn't know Dunedain. He didn't know Cirith Ungol. Then again, I don't think he heard the name Cirith Ungol. In the movie, he certainly did. But yeah, he ran ahead and then sort of told Shelob, "Here they come." And the idea was that Shelob would kill them and eat them, and then Gollum would be able to pick through the bones and the clothes that were left behind, and he would take the one ring and regain his precious and disappear. Of course, it didn't work out that way.
The answer is Shelob's lair. Question 8. What was in the phial Galadriel gifted to Frodo?
So the phial was a mixture of water from the Mirror of Galadriel and light from the Star of Eärendil. The Star of Eärendil is a light in the sky that is analogous to Venus, but it is actually, in the universe of The Lord of the Rings, a flying ship that is made out of mithril, and that there is an elf named Eärendil. It's actually Elrond's father, and he is guiding this ship through the skies, and he's holding a very bright, glowing gem known as a Sylmeril. And that's what you're seeing in the skies. And the light that is inside the Sylmeril is the mingled light of the 2 trees of Valinor, which were destroyed by Morgoth and Ungoliant, who's Shelob's mother, long time ago. There were 2 of them. There was the silver tree called Telperion, and there was the golden tree called Laurelin, and they were both destroyed. But before they were destroyed, the light, the golden light, which made the daytime in the Undying Lands, and the silver light, which was for nighttime in the Undying Lands, was blended together and trapped in crystals by an elf named Feanor, and he created 3 of these crystals. They were known as the Silmarili, or Silmarils, and that's where the title The Silmarillion comes from, which is Tolkien's biggest work. The Lord of the Rings is sort of spun off of the Silmarillion, despite the fact that it was published first, because the Silmarillion was not finished when he died. So anyway, it's the light of the 2 trees mingled with the water from the Mirror of Galadriel. So it's sort of both of those things. It's probably just going to say the light of Eärendil. Let's see what we get here.
The answer is
the light of Eärendil.
Star.
Eärendil? Oh my, it's Eärendil.
Question 9. Which city is defended as the last stronghold between Minas Tirith and Mordor?
Okay, so there's no answer here. So between Minas Tirith and Mordor, we spoke about this. There was a tower there, the Tower of the Sun. I'm sorry, the Tower of the Moon. Minas Tirith was the Tower of the Sun. Minas Anor, there was Minas Ithil there, and that became known as Minas Morgul when it was overtaken by the enemy. There was a city between the two, which was the capital of Gondor, Osgiliath, but it is gone. It's destroyed. It's in ruins. It's not really defended as the last stronghold because Minas Tirith is the last stronghold. So this is a really poor question. It's probably going to say Osgiliath, but
the answer is Osgiliath.
Yeah, it's not it's gone.
Question 10.
That's a bad question.
What is the Elvish name for the sword reforged from the shards of Narsil?
So we talked about this in the previous video. It's Anduril, which was a poetic Quenya name that basically means the flame of Numenor, or flame of the West. The literal translation of Anduril is the gift of brilliance, but I digress there. It's a whole complicated linguistic thing, and Aragorn was really showing off how well he knew the language of Quenya and how he could make it beautiful and poetic and very symbolic with the reforging of the sword, which is in 2 pieces, just as Elendil's realm was in 2 pieces, Gondor and Arnor, and he is reuniting them.
Answer is Anduril.
Anduril.
All right.
Oh, was that it?
That's the end of the
Okay.
quiz.
shorter video, which is good because I have
Make
to
sure let us know in the comment section
I have to
below.
meet with Sid.
Don't
But
forget to like this
this was better. It was shorter. There was really the only one that I really had an objection to was I don't really have an objection to that. They simplified it. This one's just wrong. But I guess there are 9. There were 9 questions. So if we consider 1 out of 9 were correct and good questions, none of them were really wrong. I didn't really have that many. I mean, some of them are simplified, which you get in quizzes like this. There was only one that I would say, no, that's wrong. So I'm going to give this a B. That's a big difference between the last one being, I gave it a D+. This one's going to be a B. It would have been an A if that one question was correct there. I did like that it wasn't multiple choice, because when you do multiple choice, you open yourself up to a lot of the issues that we saw with the previous video, such as multiple answers being correct. That was a big problem in the last one of these that I did. But yeah, really cool. So kudos to, what was the name of the channel here? Pack a Punch. I didn't so much care for I mean, I appreciated the animation in the intro, but I didn't appreciate the how loud and weird it was. But yeah, so we'll see you guys next time. We'll do more quizzes. See you then, and like the video and subscribe if you want more. And of course, I do a lot more than this. I answer questions. I do podcasts. I'm a Tolkien scholar.